and welcome to Campaign Chronicles, France 24's regular countdown to the presidential election. With 9 weeks to go, the candidates are now well and truly in the starting blocks. Coming up in this week's show, Nicolas Sarkozy joins the race, leaving little room for anyone but François Hollande. Why can't the environmentalist candidate make an impact in 2012? And in Faces and Places, a medical student defends one thing that marks French universities out: their low tuition fees. First, though, a look at a wrap of the week's main news with a boost for Nicolas Sarkozy, a gaffe for François Hollande, and another cry for help from Marine Le Pen.
As one candidate enters the race, two erstwhile rivals feel the heat. Within hours of Nicolas Sarkozy's announcement, Hervé Morin threw in the towel, the centrist handicapped by opposition from his own party. That after Christian Democrat Christine Boutin also dropped out. Both threw their support behind Sarkozy. That's little surprise. Both have served in his government, but the impact for the president may be limited. Both were stuck at under 1% in the polls. An outsider at the Supreme Court, Marine Le Pen gave her case for a change to the laws on Thursday. She says she could be ruled out of the election on a technicality. For the far-right leader, that means her voters risk being left without a voice.
It's about defending millions of French people who I consider have the right to vote for whoever they want to.
As the far-right leader struggles to get the backing of local dignitaries, she now has an unlikely ally in the centrist François Bayrou. He says the big parties should ensure marginal figures can run. The Supreme Court will deliver its ruling next week. François Hollande caught between two worlds. Speaking to the foreign press, the socialist candidate said communism no longer counted in France. His communist-backed rival, Jean-Luc Mélenchon, replied that was, quote, unbearably arrogant. Just as controversial, his message for the world of finance. Last month, it was his #1 adversary. Now he wants to reassure the city and Wall Street that a socialist president shouldn't be feared. At his second major campaign rally in Rouen, his real target's identity was clear: Nicolas Sarkozy.
Ce quinquennat, ce n'est pas un bilan, c'est un fiasco.
And with President Sarkozy now officially a candidate, his PR machine got off to a rocky start. The Socialist Party already setting up this mischievous poster generator. More symbolically, perhaps, online investigators say the image behind the president shows not the French Mediterranean, but the sea off the Greek coast.
All right, well, I'm now joined in the studio by the show's reporter, Luke Brown. And Luke, this week, finally, we're getting a clearer picture of how this presidential campaign is going to play out.
You're quite right. We've been rather impatient. We've been waiting on Nicolas Sarkozy. Now he's in the race. It does help to clarify things. Up till now, we have been talking about this as a four-way split. This week, definitely getting the impression we're heading into a two-horse race between Nicolas Sarkozy and François Hollande. The outsiders, Marine Le Pen and François Bayrou, have been treading water or losing ground to a certain extent. In the latest polls, for example, the far-right's candidate is losing 2 points, while Nicolas Sarkozy is gaining pretty much the same 2 points. Vindication, perhaps, for Sarkozy's recent strategy. Gone are those endless debates about economic arguments. Time very much for the candidate's values and principles to come to the fore, sharply rightwards in the case of Nicolas Sarkozy. It's an ideological face-off, which is squeezing out the smaller parties. It helps the big two to pretty much define what they want to talk about and define the debate, and what they're focusing on is each other.
All right, well, you mentioned the big two. What is their strategy?
Well, circling one another, much like boxers. Of course, the golden rule in politics is don't name your rival, but they are still landing a few blows. Let's take a listen to what they've had to say in the past couple of days.
If one were to tell the British media that he was economically liberal, and then turn around and tell the French that finance is our enemy, he's lying. He's lying from morning through to night.
We're a great country and a great nation. We deserve better than what we've had over the past 5 years. He represents the crisis. I have to be the president who gets us out of it.
Now, the key there is really they're not talking about any of the other candidates, solely about one another. Sarkozy warning that the socialists' victory for them would be dangerous for the country. Hollande blaming the UMP Conservatives for about 10 years of misrule. They're marching in unison towards the election now. They're matching their appearances in the media pretty much to the minute, and that looks like being the strategy until the vote itself late in April, monopolising voter attention on them.
All right, well, our tweet of the week ties in with that campaign launch.
Yes, and Nicolas Sarkozy has finally, another big thing that he did do this week was launch his own Twitter account. He's not very well known for being very keen on being online. He's been persuaded by his more tech-friendly, younger members of his team to get that Twitter account there. He's doing pretty well so far. He's got 79,000 followers in just 3 days. It's about half as many as François Hollande has in total. He did get some support from an unexpected source too. His ex-wife, Cecilia Attias, wishing him well for the presidential campaign. Let's hope she's happy with that too.
All right, look, thank you very much indeed. Now, she's a former Norwegian au pair, a celebrated investigating judge, and wants to be the next president. Eva Joly's career has certainly been a mixed one, but she hasn't yet capitalised on that in her bid for the presidency. France 24 met the candidate who wants to do things her way, even if it isn't working.
Eva Joly is the reluctant star of this rally. She's not like other candidates. It's her differences that set her apart. In the local dialect in northern France, she tries to show her lighter side. It's not just the accent that is proving a handicap. Lacking stage presence, Eva Joly doesn't really have the charisma traditionally needed to carry a campaign.
Unfortunately, for presidential elections, if you want to get more than 5%, you need to have that talent for speeches.
She doesn't really come across well in the media like the others, but she talks about her convictions. She's honest.
Unwilling to provide easy sound bites, not exactly a political animal, Eva Joly doesn't really fit into the mould of a presidential wannabe. Before entering politics, she was a high-ranking investigating judge, famed for leading major anti-corruption cases. Indeed, she thinks her seriousness is what sets her apart.
It's perhaps a political failing, but nothing interests me more than getting to the heart of the matter.
Paradoxically, while she's running for the environmentalist party, Eva Joly's platform focuses on tackling social issues like jobs losses at this refinery near Marseille.
What we bring is another way of thinking.
That approach hasn't yet paid off. Eva Joly's poll figures remain stubbornly stuck at around 3%, a weakness amplified by rumours the party isn't fully behind her, a hangover from last year's primary vote.
I don't need to justify myself. Environmentalists have never united behind a candidate like they have me. I reject any questions about my legitimacy.
That doesn't get away from the fact that her campaign is stuck in neutral. Is it the wrong message or the wrong messenger?
I believe in her because she's the right person at the right time. We're in a deep financial crisis, and she's shown throughout her life how she's fought against tax havens and money laundering, as well as the way the world of finance behaves. It's the environmental cause that's low in the polls, not Eva Joly.
This is Eva Joly's first presidential campaign after just 3 years in frontline politics. It's a baptism of fire, but unless she can win more voters round to her cause, it could also be her swan song.
All right, well, it's time now for our weekly rendezvous with French voters in Faces and Places. Our host today is a medical student from Lyon, and even though he's studying hard, Stéphane still finds time to defend his principles: education for all and improving living standards for hard-up students.
Quelles causes anatomiques congénitales doivent être recherchées? Là, je vous aide.
Stéphane is a fourth-year medical student attending his gynecology and obstetrics class. He's been studying in Lyon for 6 years. He believes the state must continue to support free higher education that's accessible for all.
It's crazy to see a project like the one at the Sorbonne, where the law school could cost 30,000 euros per year. It's unthinkable. The advantage of university is that everyone is accepted and everyone can get an education and have the same job later. If the selection process is done on the basis of money directly, you will end up with a sort of elite, which is contrary to the principles of the Republic, and I hope contrary to the values that are paramount for France.
Stéphane belongs to a student association and co-founded a charity food shop. Half the products are donated by the food bank or by partner supermarkets. The other half is bought by the association. Products here are sold 5 times cheaper than in regular shops. Stéphane worries about student poverty, which is on the increase.
Roughly 25% of the students on campus could or should be receiving help such as ours, such as that of our charity food shop. 25% is a huge proportion, all the more so as we have rather strict criteria, because we couldn't open for everyone. What should be done is to improve the scholarship system, not necessarily increase the amounts, but at least extend the system, because what we notice is that the middle classes are encountering financial difficulties.
Stéphane goes for practical classes at this teaching hospital in the south of Lyon. He's also concerned about how to ensure medical services are provided everywhere in France.
I think we need to develop multidisciplinary health centres where GPs and specialists can work in the same medical practice, close to people every day. We can also get local authorities to extend their offer of salaried employment, or to help doctors out, for example, through local authorities providing offices.
In the meantime, Stéphane is involved in the life of his faculty. For him, 2012 isn't just a year of presidential elections. He'll be following university elections closely too.
Well, that's all we've got time for. Check out our Facebook and Twitter accounts. The addresses are on your screen now, and you can let us know what you think about this French presidential election. We'll see you next week, though, for more from Campaign Chronicles from Luke and myself. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye-bye.